Free your apps or starve in your walled garden. Hi, my name is Matthäus Krzykowski. I'm the CEO of Xyologic. And what we're actually really doing is apps research. So I invite you just to put out your smartphones or whatever you have, go to our website, Xyologic.com, and search for apps. The point where people get excited about what we do is we build a technology which estimates the download numbers of all the 650,000 apps we index in our system. The bottom line is we know who's who. So here are some numbers of who's who, and like when you're here in Germany or in Europe, when people try to say this is success, a couple thousand of downloads, right? Build less than 40,000. But this is not really what we see. What we really see is the following. This thing is huge. It's actually already millions of people using it. This is the first time we are disclosing these numbers here in Europe. I don't think Apple, Google, or Microsoft have ever talked about it, but this gives you an idea of actually how big this is. And to give you a little bit relation on the different platforms, right? iPhone is still up there in terms of downloads, but Android is already catching up, and actually Windows Phone 7 is also significant to the valley. Speaking of which, right? It's already here, it's big, and it's disruptive. And let me tell you a bit more about what this disruption is about for the people there in the valley. This is about these millions of people using these apps and disrupting whole businesses. This is from a slide from the Goala investor, Rob Coneybear. And he was basically saying, you have Flipboard. This disrupts print media. You have Shopkick. This disrupts retail. You have Airbnb, which disrupts lodging, or Pandora, which disrupts radio. This is about millions of people doing something new and disrupting industries. More disruptive things. So few of these apps are paid apps which get downloaded. Again, it's the first time we're ever disclosing these numbers on stage. And it's actually less than 0.1% on Android. It's all free apps. People want to download free apps. It's a little bit more on iPhone, but still, right? This is the bottom line. If you really want users, you need to make your app free. And if you make it paid, you're basically keeping users away from using your service and being relevant in the industries as this mobile revolution is starting. And this is actually really how we, here in Europe particularly, learned to think about digital. We are really a series of islands. We think we speak a language, for example, German, and that we go to the Google search engine and we use it in our own language and look for the brands we're actually aware of. And hence, we have local adaptation patterns, right? Maybe, Facebook, it comes at some point. Big blogs like HuffingtonPost never arrive here. And this is really not happening at all in the app economy. The trends are instantly here. This is some data from travel, right? It's not actually that far away. That's why, advanced, that's why we picked it. And basically, from this over 26,000 apps, we got downloaded over 250 million times so far, February 2011. And then we worked with Nadine. Nadine, where are you here? Over there. She's really good in making things work in this new digital space, right? If you need help, she's really good in BD and product development in this. So she looked at the 200 most downloaded travel apps and tried to figure out what this is about. And she found out that 80% of these apps have some of the 10 same features. And you know the surprising thing? 3 of these features are actually connected to Google products. Travel is mostly about Google Maps integration in some sense. And as I said before, in the digital space, you think it's your local digital players. This is not happening at all in mobile. What you really have is it's this international apps ruling. And there's only very little space for local apps and local people and local languages. I think if I remember your study, Nadine, it was Google Maps. What were the other 2 parts? And this is my bottom line, right? The bottom line is actually German people or French people download English-speaking apps. If you think it's the same situation like digital, it doesn't happen. And also from an investor's point of view, right? We hear a lot about the Zumber business model of doing startup. That doesn't work in mobile. You're competing internationally against international apps and international brands because people are speaking English and they're picking your international competitors. And you're also competing against global budgets. If a Valley decides to put 20 million in a Silicon Valley startup, this is your competitor. I'm not sure you see it, what you see here, but if you download my presentation, you'll see it. This is the top 15 downloaded apps on Android in Germany. And what you see here is that none of these 15 apps is actually a local app. And I would also, anyone from Bild or Spielfilm TV here, I would like to introduce you to your biggest competitor you never heard about, right? It's a guy called Xyologic, and his app, World Newspaper, has over 300,000 downloads each month. Germans don't read Bild Zeitung or Spielfilm TV. They download the app World Newspapers. And this is what we see all over the place. If you look at the top 150, maximum 20, 30 of these apps are local. So if it's free, the international people are in, where's the money? The money is in a couple of things, but the one I will be talking about is in-app purchase. In-app purchase is your ability to buy something while the app is already running. You have downloaded it, and you're able to buy something in the experience. And this is really where the money on the iOS platform has been really growing, especially in the last 6 months. And by now, around 2,000 games with in-app purchase are about 40% of all downloads on iOS around in free games. Flurry did an amazing study. It's a mobile analytics group. They really showed how the revenue on iOS and Android grew from 500 million to 800 million based on that. And the PlayStation Portable and Nintendo DS get really disrupted by this. I'm not sure who saw Peter's presentation, Angry Birds. So this is it, right? You need to figure out what kind of feature are people actually willing to pay for. In Angry Birds, it's possibly, I want to go to the next level. That's why I pay $1 for it. And the Valley thinks that this will not only be about games, but we will actually see a lot of other apps, including travel, where people will figure out what kind of features will people buy for something. So here are a couple of examples back from Nadine from Just Am Right. So here, you can buy information service, and specifically here, live voice guidance while you travel with your car. On this one, this is an app where basically you can view something, and you buy for the translation from Spanish to English, right? Or here, if you want push notification on your flight status, you have to buy this feature, right? You like the app already enough, buy this. Or what about the real-time flight boarding? You have to buy this. So here's my piece of advice. Building an app is only a first step. Really, please do me a favor and make your app free. And then figure out what users are really caring about and make them pay for this. And if you need any research, come to our site and check out what your download numbers are of the download numbers of your competitors. Thank you very much.
Matthäus, stay up with me, please. Your heart.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for the nice presentation. I was wondering what you think about the results you heard of the study earlier. I mean, you have the Silicon Valley glasses on, so what do you think about it?
I think I know where these guys are coming from, but I disagree with a lot of the direction. I think a lot of people you're asking, right, who are your local players and how far are they? And what we see is that they're not that far. And they're not asking, nobody asked Xyologic or what he thinks about newspapers and how big is this business for him, right? They ask Bild Zeitung, which is small, and they're doing it the wrong way.
Okay, okay. So, but in terms of like user adoption, where we heard, well, it's still in its infancy. You presented us as high numbers. How does that fit together?
I think it's fair enough to say if you ask, okay, would if you were asking like specific features, right? How much of a specific transaction within a shop is actually really happening, right? I can't say, right? Because we don't get this kind of data. But I know how many thousands or hundreds of thousands of people have already downloaded specific apps.
Okay.
And in shopping, more than 1 million in Germany, for sure.
Okay. So it's like two kinds of speed, where you say, well, on the one hand side, you have like the vanguard who moves very, very fast, and on the other hand, you have like the majority who's very slow in adopting and
sure, you see, like this is where Americans are not really good at, right? They are not here. They're not testing here, right? They're not pushing their marketing budgets here, but we're doing that in a big time, right? In the US, and all the big brands are putting millions of dollars into this.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Thanks a lot.
I thank you.
Thank you.